All right, what's up, everyone? It is Sunday evening, and I was just getting prepped up for the week, going over some charts. So I'll share some of my ideas that I have right now that I like. We got another busy week of earnings on tap. We got Bloom Energy on Tuesday after the close, and we have a bunch of the big Mag 7 names. We got Meta and Microsoft on Wednesday evening, followed by Apple and Amazon on Thursday evening. So there should be plenty to do this week. The futures just opened and we're gapping higher, likely from the ceasefire news over the weekend with Iran. Whether that's going to hold up or not, we'll see how that plays out. But either way, futures are up. Was hoping for a gap down, had some levels mapped out that I want to start buying some Qs into. Maybe we'll get there, over the coming weeks and into August. I'm not quite sure this bounce will stick, but we'll see how it plays out overnight and check things out in the morning. But some key levels I'm watching on the Qs are the 10% correction area, 673.78. If it gets anywhere close to that, 675, 674, I'll probably start buying a little bit and then add into it if we get a deeper pull in. So that's kind of what I'll be looking at. And then below, we have the 50% retracement of this big rally. Don't think we're going to get there, but if we do, I have it mapped out. Definitely an area I'd be adding into my position. And then obviously a 15% correction a little bit lower. And that lines up really well with the big breakout area, which is right around 637. So some areas to keep tabs on, and areas that I'd be looking to buy into if we did see some further weakness over the next few weeks to month or two. So some names for this week. Nvidia traded that on Friday, ended up catching a nice bounce play out of it, stopped out of the trailer. I still like this. It's held in well, despite the market weakness. We had the big rally with it, and now we're getting a deeper pull in here, and we're testing this big area. You can see a lot of pivots back in here, kind of back tested it here on the pullback, and now we've tested a couple of times in this last month and have bounced off it again. And now we're having some sideways action and holding above the 10 and 20 days. So for Nvidia, I'd like to see maybe a little bit more inside action holding, and if the market can improve, I really like this for a breakout play. We've got a pretty significant level here, 214.40s, tested it multiple times over the last couple months. So definitely something I'll be watching for with Nvidia. Now, what I would probably do is if this starts to set up well and consolidate just below that area, I'd probably try a little bit long and then add through this breakout point. The problem is right now it's a tough time to be buying breakouts. So I'll just have to be a little bit careful, probably be a little bit smaller, and most likely be a little bit more aggressive in my profit taking if it does pop through. So Nvidia is definitely one I'll be watching this week. SpaceX, we've had just a huge sell-off after we had the big pop post IPO opening. And now we're coming in. We have earnings coming up at the beginning of August. And we also have the first lockup coming. We'll be opening up for insiders to start selling. So those will be interesting. I kind of I wanted to buy into this oversold move. I'm a little hesitant with it now with that coming up. I think I want to wait a little bit to see how that plays out with earnings and the unlock period. So if we get some more downside into that after earnings and into the unlock period, get down into 100, this is definitely an area I'd be looking to start buying some stuff for long term. So kind of a bigger picture look, may need a bit more of time, but I would like to see a little bit more downside into it and kind of get a feel for the stock once we have its first earnings report and unlock period. So SpaceX definitely be on my radar. Bloom Energy, I was hoping, if we were going to be coming into tomorrow with a gap lower, this is definitely a name that I like to buy into weakness here. It was if we step back, it's been a leader for a long time, and we had a really nice move, trending move, consolidated, another leg, consolidated, and then we had a failed breakout here, and we're getting some follow through to the downside, and now it's starting to get a bit extended. Like if we step out to the weekly, we can see it's basically rejected that the failed breakout up here, and it's basically been straight down. So I wanted to shop some weakness for a bounce. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll be lower tomorrow, but the levels I'll be watching was like 180 down to 160. If we are in this zone in here in the next couple of days, I'd be looking to buy some for an oversold bounce. If it gaps up tomorrow with the market, it's going to be a little bit trickier. It won't be as easy of a bounce play, and I'd probably be hands off until we saw more downside if we got it. But I'll be checking that on the prices in the morning and see where that's at. Maybe we'll get lucky and get the gap down. This is reported on Tuesday after the close, so would have to be a little careful. Ideally, we'd be gapping down and I could day trade some of it and then go into it with a little bit of a cushion and be smaller in the position. But we'll just have to see how this shakes out over tomorrow and into Tuesday. So Bloom Energy, be keeping tabs on Tesla. This was another one I was looking for. If we did gap lower and this was lower, I would like to buy this in the hole. Obviously, this gap down big on the earnings, had some big follow through, day 2 follow through. If we were gapping down on day 3, I think that could really set up well for an oversold bounce play, into this extension. So that's Tesla. That's another one to be looking for weaker tomorrow morning. And then as far as strength names or strong names in the leaders, Dell has held up incredibly well, had this huge ramp up higher and had been consolidating after that big earnings beat. And basically this is telling me that price is being accepted up here, right? Even with the market getting sold off pretty good. We're holding above the 10 and 20 day. We got a pretty defined trend line. Like I was saying earlier, it's a bit trickier right now for breakout plays, but if this did start to push and market was holding in well, I would put some risk on a little bit smaller, like I was talking about with Nvidia, and I'd probably be a little bit more aggressive taking profits too if we did get a push. But I do like this chart. I like what it's been doing despite the market's weakness. It's held in very well and could set up for another leg higher, maybe push up into 500 or so. So really that's all that I have on my radar. I ran through a bunch of charts, and it's the end of July coming into August, notoriously a slower time of the year. Just got to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more selective on your setups, and don't overtrade, don't overdo it. Right now, it's really not the time to be getting super aggressive on things. So unless we did end up getting a really big sell-off, then I think that could set up well to start buying some stuff and really look forward to the end of the year bounce coming out of summer and into fall and winter. I think that could set up well. So we'll have to see what shakes out. I'll wake up, see what the futures are doing. If we're gapping lower, got some names I like with that. If we're staying strong and markets are bouncing, then something like Dell would be a name I'd be focusing on for continued strength and maybe a breakout. All right, so we'll see what the market looks like tomorrow morning, and we'll check the news and see if anything else is setting up. All right, I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I will see you in the room tomorrow morning.